Okay, so as we were explaining on the last video, even though they're using y, this is our x variable because x is always in the numerator, and this is our function notation, so we know this is our y variable. Because they're trying to show you that it doesn't matter what letter I use, whatever's in parentheses is always my x. Because remember, I can use any letter I want, h of x, k of v, l of m. But whatever's in parentheses represents your x, and then this function notation will be your y. So write the data from the table as a set of ordered pairs. I don't think we need to do all that. I'll just start it to show you what it looks like. So set tells me to use set symbols. Ordered pairs would be your x first, your y second, then close it because that's your x and y, then you make a comma, and then 1 first, 3.71 second, and so on. So I'll just do that. You don't have to write them all out, but just so you have the idea. So this is saying when x is 3, what's y? 4.17. Now this one's doing just the opposite. This is saying when y, to see how the x is blank, is 7.46. What is x? And that would be 13. Or we could write v of 13. So this one is saying when y is 5.26, what is x? Remember, our y is our x, and it is 5.26 goes with 7. So yes, I should have written y equals 13 there, which is really our x, but I just want to make sure you guys are getting that. Explain the meaning in a sentence, and I do have this on the test. That's why I chose this page to go over, because it has quite a few test questions on it. Explain what this means. So what's in parentheses, our x, is years. So after 21 years, let's start it with that. After 21 years, comma, and this is why we wrote this out to the side to remind ourselves when we write sentences about this, that after 21 years, this has to be in thousands. So you have to take the number. So it's 11.90. And when you multiply by 1,000, because that's what in thousands means, you can do it on your calculator if you want, or you can remember that 3 zeros moves it 3 places. So it would be 11.90, move it 3 places. So that turns into $11,900. So after 21 years, the investment, so use words from your problem. After 21 years, the investment is now worth $11,900. And you do have to have labels on everything, complete sentences, and so on. So using the words from the problem, after 21 years, the investment is now worth $11,900, because we had to multiply that by 1,000 because of what they said in the beginning, in thousands of dollars. And we wrote thousands of dollars here as well. Okay, so everybody got that? Now we're going to use the graph to answer some questions. So let's try to get everything in so we can see it. So this is a review of what we did on the last packet. When x is 4, y is 2, because you can see 5 right there. So this is 2. And that order pair, as we learned, was 4, 2. X always goes first, the output or answer second. And remember, you can check by saying, is the point 4, 2 on the graph? And it is. Next, it says when X is 0, excuse me, what is Y? And you can see that's 4. And so the point 0, 4 is on the graph. Now this one is just the opposite. This is giving me Y, because remember, whatever's in parentheses is the X. So when Y is 3, what is X? Find the point on your graph and then trace down to the X-axis, and you can see that is 2. And then if you're not sure you did it right, here's your X, here's your Y, check your point. Is the point 2, 3 on the graph? Yes, it is. And last, when Y is 0, we're going to find the X. So here's Y equals 0. What is X? 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we're correct, that means the order pair 8, 0, X, comma, Y is on the graph, and it is. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the next page. So if the order pair is, on the picture, Kim. So if the order pair is 6, 4, what goes in here? Your X, so 6. When the function notation says f of -1 is 6, what's the order pair? -1, 6. When the function notation says f of -5 equals -1, that means -5 goes with -1. So that's just a review of what we did in the last section. This says when X is 2, what's Y? 8. This says when Y is 2, what's X? Because they're asking for what's inside parentheses. So when Y is 2, X is 6. And this says when Y is 16, because see how this is the same thing as Y. So when Y is 16, what's X? -4. So it's just teaching you how to go both ways there. So let's do one more example on this page and then we'll move to the next one. So the temperature in Fahrenheit, T, H hours after midnight. So you always want to make sure you understand what your variables stand for, because see how they're going to make us write a sentence here? So this is hours after midnight, because we have to put all these labels on our answer when we go to write our answer. T of H is degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll just write degrees Fahrenheit. Notice it's in Phoenix, yeah? Write the data from the table as a set of ordered pairs. So we're not going to do all that, but we can just start it just so you can see again. So 1 goes with 96. Remember, up here are the X's, down here are the Y's. Then you put a comma, 4 and 90, and so on, till you get to the end of the list. And put your set symbols to show it ends. When X is 7, Y is 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Explain the meaning of T13 in a sentence. So T of 13, let's first write what it is. T of 13 is 102. So now this is when we have to use our labels. 13 hours after midnight, the temperature is 102 degrees Fahrenheit. So 13, you're not really supposed to start a sentence with a number. That's why I'm spelling it out. 13 hours after midnight, comma, the temperature is 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Here we go. So that explains the meaning of T of 13. So first we find the answer using the table. Then we know this is the X, which means hours after midnight. This is the Y, which is degrees Fahrenheit. Then we have to put all the labels on everything as we talk about it. At what time of day was the temperature 110 degrees? So this is temperature. So it's 20 hours after midnight. But that's not what they asked for. They said, at what time of day? So what would 20 hours after midnight be? So 12 hours would be noon. Add 8 more hours to that, so it would be 8 p.m. Or you could say 4 hours short of midnight, because you're going around and you're 4 hours short of midnight, which would be 8 p.m. as well. So at 8 p.m., the temperature is 110 degrees. Okay, I think we have time to do this last one. So this is a graph like we had on the previous lesson, practice with. So when X is 0, what's Y? 4. When X is negative 1, what's Y? 3. Now this one's saying when Y is negative 5. So draw over to your graph. It'd be this point. What's X? Negative 3. So just trace up, and that tells me X is negative 3. And when Y is 3, ooh, look at that. Y equals 3 has 2 points. Remember how I said sometimes you're going to have 2 answers? So there's the line Y equals 3. It's a horizontal line, and it intersects the graph in 2 places, so I have to name both. X equals negative 1 and X equals 1. So make sure you do that, because you won't get full credit if you don't name all the places where X is or Y is 3. So Y is 3 here because that point is 1, 3, but Y is also 3 here because that point is negative 1, 3. Formulas and function notation. So here we have a formula. And formulas, it says, relates 2 or more quantities. So in this case, we're relating T and H. Suppose you are enjoying a wonderful Arizona weather day by playing around a golf. When you strike a golf ball, its height in feet. So remember how I said you always need to know what the variable represents? Is H, and T is seconds. It has been in the air. Suppose that you strike a golf ball with an initial velocity of 96 feet per second. So see, that's already in the formula. The height of the ball above the ground is given by this. So on the next video, we'll start there, and the next one is the last, I promise. See you then.